got this awesome backdrop here to
Oh
use.
yeah, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
I can always have something cool somewhere around here, whether it's this or I don't know if you can see it in the back. Is a Super Scout. See that thing way back there, the white truck?
Yeah.
That's a Super Scout. Very, very rare truck. An International Harvester Super Scout. No doors on it.
Mm-hmm.
I did a video of it a year ago, and pretty neat truck. But I can always have something cool, which is kind of why I don't want to really stop working here. I mean, it kills me the time wise, but there's just so much cool stuff comes in and out of this place. Customers bringing cars in, my cars, the cars the boss owns, the cars that the other techs here own. We get some real cool stuff that I really haven't even shown it.
Yeah, my backdrop is a bit, a bit less.
Not too bad.
I saw the video with the rescuing of the stolen kayaks.
Oh, the kayaks, yeah, that was kind of crazy. Just a small world, and the internet just makes it smaller. If it wasn't for Facebook, I never would have put two and two together. I had been going out into those woods all summer, all spring, and those kayaks were just there and never moved, and such distinct kayaks. And I just figured once I found out whose they were, I just had to do the right thing. I mean, that's kind of what I.
How did she react?
What I do.
How did she react?
What's that?
How did she react?
Very surprised, considering that person, her name was Lila.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't talked to her in like 20 years or so. I grew up in a little town right across the street. We weren't really, we didn't play a lot. We weren't the closest friends, but we knew each other. We hung out with the same people sometimes. But she was blew her mind that I found him, blew her mind that I was able to take him out of there like that. And she was pretty pleased with it. Until she sent me a message a couple days later. I guess she drove over him with her car. So, well, I guess there's that. But she was happy that I was able to get him to her. But kind of terrible that she ran him over.
It's ironic.
Yeah, very ironic. She didn't get to enjoy him, but I guess it's the thought that counts, right?
Yeah, of course. So what's new? What's new in your world? Getting the
same old. Just been playing around, having fun. Not making enough content.
Perhaps you could tell us. Perhaps you could tell us what happened with the red 9.5 wagon that you had and suddenly disappeared.
Yeah. I feel like I owe my fans an explanation on that. The car itself, when I went to look at it, we put it up on the lift. They had the dog leg rust. It didn't look that bad until I dug into it, and it was a lot worse than I had anticipated. And while I was digging into it, it looks like that car was used for a very big stereo system. It had Dynamat all in the back, but from the bass vibrating the interior, all the interior was all just starting to fall apart. A bass car shakes themselves so bad. It also had a bunch of water leaks. I think that's part of the bass was shaking the roof fitting so much over time. Water was getting in, and once I really dug into it, the car was just it wasn't any better than the RallyWagon was. And I have like I said, as we were talking earlier, I live in an apartment, a great apartment, great location for cheap. And it's not fair to the other people who live in the building for me to have so many cars in the yard. And I had to get rid of something. And that just made the most sense at the time, basically because the 9.5 is the most replaceable car of my Saabs. I can go find other 9.5s that people get ready to give up on. I can't go out and find another 96. So I had actually made a really long send-off video about the cars. It was going to be a really good episode, but something happened when I was importing the footage, and I lost a whole giant piece of it, which happens, with YouTube. You think you recorded something and it didn't record, then the car goes to the junkyard, and now I'm stuck with no video, and the car's gone, and I don't really know how to explain in a video where it's just not just me talking about it. It's kind of hard to pull that one out of the cabbage, to explain that. I wanted to build that car very bad, but what I did is I took every part of that made the RallyWagon, all the lift kit, the bull bar, the rack on the top, all that stuff, and I saved it. I've got it all up in the ceiling. We got a little mezzanine over here, and I've got it up in storage. So what made the RallyWagon still exists. It's still ready to be. It's still a RallyWagon in potentia. So I just got to wait till I find the right 9.5 wagon to do it to. And like I said, they made that same car up into about 2008, or at least the same suspension. So that lift kit will go in an 01 to an 08. I might be wrong. It might be an 07. It might be an 09. But I know right in that vintage uses all the same stuff that the RallyWagon did. And I think I'd rather do all the work and build the latest model I can, because it's just going to be the best version of the car, the last version. So the RallyWagon still kind of exists, but just not as a wagon, just as parts and pieces.
Perhaps you can get a manual this time.
Well, that's the thing too. My daily driver car has to be driven by the old lady. She can't drive standard, so I need 2 cars that are automatics at least. So so if something happens to her car, engine blows up, or something happens and it's out of commission for a couple of days, she has to be able to drive the other car, and then I'll just resort to the classics because I can drive those. She can't drive standard. She would love to drive this car here, but 4 on the tree, and teach someone to drive a standard that way is I think it'd be a losing battle, and probably the car wouldn't survive as well. So the clutch is good in it, and I think if I teach her to drive stick in this, the clutch won't be so good.
No.
So yeah, that's why. I mean, I'd love to have a manual, but also as you get older, you kind of want to do less. They say my father was the same way. I'd be like, oh, you bought that car, but it's an auto. That stinks. And he's like, someday you'll be so old that you're not going to want to push the clutch pedal in traffic. And the older I get, the more that's true. The more it's fun to drive a standard if it's a fun car, but if it's just something you drive and you get around in, it's nice to just be able to just not worry about shifting.
I think you should go in the 9.5. I think we should go up to 2005, because then they had the second facelift, which is called Lady Elna or something.
You call it the lady front end. I've never heard it referred to as that, actually.
Well, it looks like it has its AIs done,
Yeah, no, I know now that you mention it. I can kind of see it.
I like the back of the second facelift, but the front with that chrome on it, it just looks like an old lady from your school or something. So it's like, no. If you can score some 2004 Aero, that would be nice.
Yeah. But also another thing with the RallyWagon too, that car I also built that car for a very specific set of trails. They're the trails I grew up in. They're the trails where we found that kayak. The kayaks were in. I wanted to bring that car to all of those places, and we did the baseline. I don't know if you saw the baseline the first time we took it off road.
Yeah.
That was a road that I really wanted to use that car on, but now, and I think it might actually, because I made the videos of these areas, people from around the area went out there with their mud trucks and totally drove off the trail, made a complete disaster of the area, trashed all the trails, rutted it up, drove through the woods to get to like rock formations and ripped them all over that. And I think because of that, the environmental police totally blocked the roads, gates, big signs saying huge fines to be out there in motor vehicles. So I think me making those videos kind of killed the trails for me. And that's another thing with the RallyWagon. If I was to build it again, I really, at this time, I don't have any place to use it anymore. I'd have to drive pretty far north to find trails that would suit that car. So, I mean, I'm also kind of on the fence of offering the RallyWagon kit to somebody else and build it for them. I mean, that's also a possibility too, to find someone local to me that wants to bring their car here, and I can do a whole series on their car too. And that's something that might happen too. I mean, I would like to get a 2008 and build it again, but I would also like to concentrate on the classics too. Yeah. So I mean, the RallyWagon will live again. It's just it may be mine, it may be somebody else's. and time will tell, I guess. But I will definitely be building another RallyWagon.
So now you are busy with your 96, basically, with the 96 one.
I'm busy with the 96. I'm not even. I got to put it up. I'm actually right in the middle of filming a video right now. I'm just taking a little bit of a break from it, but we're going to walk around the 96 and take another look at where everything is. Honestly, I kind of don't remember where I left it. I remember we had cut the roof out of an old Jeep that we were junking, and I used the roof to be the floor, the trunk floor in this car. And that was the last time I touched this car. It's been sitting in my yard. What was that? 8 months ago. I think it's been at least 6, 7, 8 months since I've even had a chance to bring this car back up here to the shop to even look at it. So I got to put it back up and kind of go through it for myself. I know I have more metal work to do. I have a little bit of interior stuff. The interior lights aren't coming on, aren't working, which is probably way down the list because I got like I said, the metal work. And right now, I'm just having an issue too titling it. I'm in Massachusetts. When this car was last, I know you and I had talked about this, but I figure for the podcast, we'll go into it too. When I got this car, it was given to me by a fan of my YouTube channel, local. He gave it to me, and he was the last registered owner, and that would have been 1990. That's when the inspection sticker. You probably can't make it out, but a 1990 inspection sticker. The state I live in the United States, Massachusetts, was a no-title state on cars that were 18, 15, 20 years old. They didn't bother with titles. You would just go in with a bill of sale, and you could register it and be good to go. Last time this car was registered, it was a non-title. Since then, they've now required all vehicles to have titles. So when they last registered this, they didn't issue a title, but now they require a title, but I don't have a title from the last owner to get a title in my name. So as far as me registering this thing in the state I live in, it's kind of a no-go, which is kind of ridiculous, but I have ways around it. I have friends and family in other states. I can just have them register it, and then they could just sell it to me, and then I'd be all right with it. But the trouble with that is right now this car is this is a 2-owner car. The original owner sold it to the guy that I got it from, and he gave it to me. And it probably doesn't matter in the end, but I would like to keep the owner count low. I mean, I hate to ping it off another person, and that's another person who's owned the car, you know, just to get around bureaucracy. You're going to add a third, fourth owner to the car. So I'd like to find a way around it, but I mean, for now, because I work at this shop, I have access to what we call a repair plate. And that's a license plate that carries its own registration for the plate, its own insurance just for the license plate. And we can put that on any vehicle I want and drive it totally legally. So for now, that's just how I get it back and forth if I want to take it on a Sunday drive. And that works for now. I'd like to, in the future, move to New Hampshire just because in Massachusetts, we also have different taxes. We have excise tax on every car we own, whether it's on the road or not. Up here in New Hampshire, which is literally 2 miles from where I live, you don't have any excise tax. You don't even have to have car insurance. No titles to register the car. You go to the town hall. You don't even go to the registry. You go to the town hall to register your car. You know, and then in Massachusetts, you got to go to a registry, an insurance company. You got to jump through 6 hoops and pay, you know, $1,000 to put a car on the road. Up here, it's like, I think it's like $80 to put the car on the road versus $1,000 in the state I live. Massachusetts, they call it a Commonwealth state, and Big Brother is just right on your shoulder all the time. You know, there's just so many taxes on top of taxes, and I
mean, you could just have it towed to Florida, because in Florida they would register even a toaster with wheels.
yeah. Literally, I got a friend who like builds the craziest cars, and there's not even a state inspection.
Yeah,
you know, in
Europe, engine swapping is like your engine is destroyed, and you put the exact engine back in, and it's only the VIN numbers differ from the engines. You are not going to see like a V8 LS7 Miata or something. I mean, you will, but it's going to be expensive. I mean, these people, they are going to crucify you for even tinting the taillights. It's like,
I remember when I put the bull bar on the RallyWagon, And there were guys over there that are like, if we put that on, they slap the cuffs, take that car right off the road because it changes the way the car would handle in an accident. So I've heard them say that you can't even put like a bull bar on the front of your vehicle. You know,
over here,
it's like that in California too. In California, it's like that too. You can't have any more like they have their own emissions requirements. We have a car like newer vehicles will have two sets of emissions called federal and California, because California emissions are more strict than federal. There are cars that they sell in Massachusetts that you can't drive in California. I mean, you can if it's registered in Massachusetts. You can drive there in that car, but if you were to move there and try to register the car, you couldn't do it. You'd have to get rid of the car because it doesn't meet that state's emissions requirements.
Yeah, I think in Europe, not even wheels cannot be replaced like as you wanted. They are actually the tire dimensions are actually written in the title of the car. And so basically, if your car never came with 18-inch wheels, that's it. It's illegal, and that's the end of it. The problem is that they go too far, and for example, if the guy that bought the car from the factory just had the basic wheels on it, it had like just 15-inch wheels, right? And now and the car may have come with options for like 17-inch, but those have not been selected. Yeah, well, that's it. You're done. You have to go through like a million paperworks to just have them legal.
It's just for different wheels. Yeah, I also heard that that they're really strict about what tires you guys are running at different times of the year.
Not really.
No, not where you are. I know someone mentioned that in the winter your car has to have snow tires. It has to have an M and S on it.
In the winter, they actually check. I mean, you can easily see that it's a winter tire from the distance, and then they check if it has like M plus S on the tires.
Yeah, mud and snow on it to be permanent.
But in the summer, I mean, you could be like winter tires in the summer; they wouldn't care that much. But in the winter,
in the winter they're pretty strict about that. Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff here that is just regulated for no obvious reason. Like, for example,
it's bureaucracy. It's basically the way it works is the people who make the law, they're not mechanics, they're not engineers, they don't know exactly how a vehicle works. So what they do is they err on the side of caution. They'd rather be too much bureaucracy than not enough, then people get hurt. You know, everyone's got to make sure everyone's safe all the time.
Over here, you need to have in your car a high visibility jacket. By law, you have to have a first aid kit that is still in warranty. By law, again, you have to have a fire extinguisher that is also still on date by law. And they want these to be changed every 2 years. And when you do this for like 10 or 15 years, it adds up to nothing, basically. I don't even have, if someone were to stop me right now, I would go like, okay, here's my license, and I'm going to tow my car back home because it's summer and I'm on winter tires. I have no high visibility jacket, no medical aid kit, no warning triangles. I have a spare wheel, but I have a wheel key, but I have no jack. So may as well just write me everything there, and I'll take it home with me. But so far I have been lucky. Nobody stopped me. Even though for some reason one of the brake lights in the 9.5 is not working properly. I mean I have to hit it, just like slap it, and it works.
Yeah, it works. You probably got a bulb half burned out. Sometimes the filament will still make contact, but it's burned in a spot and it just shakes. You probably just need a bulb, or maybe the socket's dirty. It's when the third brake light goes out on those, it can be expensive, or at least it used to be expensive. I don't know if you saw it. I have a fix I made where I soldered in a cheap I don't have one here right now. A cheap LED strip from the local parts place for like $10. So a lot of people have thanked me for that one. You know, because that works on a lot of different cars. And some of those LED third brake lights can be $500, $600. You know, to get the right one in it. But
I'm lucky that I'm lucky that I have a Saab service here, and they still have some 9.5s that they take parts from, and they just like told me, hey, if you want something from like this, you can just take it from the inside. I was like, oh, I need bulbs, all of the bulbs, everything on the dash is just black. I'm missing bulbs from half the AC. It's not lighting up. What was it? Fog lights buttons not working. Cigarette lighter bulbs not working.
Pull those whole unit right out of another car and just slam the new one right in yours.
And I found a 9.5 that has front ventilated seats, which mine doesn't. So I'm working out on how to swap those.
I like those. I wish more cars had those. Yeah. I'm surprised that so few vehicles do have cooled seats. Basically, all it is a fan and porous seat material. I'm surprised it took so long for them to really come out with that technology. It's so simple.
It's a good technology, but people here, I mean, the target demographics are a bunch of morons, to be completely honest. They have no idea what a car is, and they just go like spend 500 euros on Apple Play compatibility on their cars for no obvious reason. 500 euros could have been leather seats or something, but they just choose God knows what. And I mean, not if you are to look at what cars have been released recently, what new cars are actually worth anything apart from the Alfa Romeo Giulia, which has a Ferrari engine in it, but for some reason has fly-by-wires braking, which is one of the worst things I have ever seen in my life. Why would you make the brakes?
I don't think we have any of that. I don't think fly-by-wire braking and steering is allowed in this country. At least not right now.
Yeah. The new ones. Yeah, the new ones are just fly-by-wire steering, which has no input from the wheels at all. You cannot feel anything. Brakes, fly-by-wire as well. Basically, you have no input whatsoever from the car.
No connection to the road. Absolutely. No connection to the road.
Absolutely. No.
Yeah.
And
yes, that doesn't fly. Our Highway Safety Commission, motor vehicle safety standards say that there has to be a mechanical linkage connection from the steering wheel to the rack.
Yeah.
It can be electrically boosted. We got a lot of electric power steering, but there still has to be that connection.
Yeah.
And the brakes have to have not only a hydraulic but a mechanical emergency brake.
Yeah.
I mean, even with the electric emergency brakes, it's still an electric motor moving a mechanical piston to actually make the brakes work. So they mandated that.
Yeah.
There was also some other mandates that they've done away with recently, which I'm trying to get to the bottom of. The way a shifter works, like an automatic shifter, park, reverse, neutral, drive. That is that way because of safety standards.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm noticing more and more cars are coming with push button. This was part of this was something that happened back in the 60s. I think Chrysler came out with a push button transmission. I think it was like right in the steering wheel where the horn is, and it was all right there. And what was happening is people were just hitting the button by accident, and the car would start rolling and kill somebody. So they made a safety standard that the shifters have to work in that order.
Yeah.
And nowadays, I'm seeing cars with push buttons again, and I'm curious to how that got to be legal and from being something that was so dangerous.
I'm curious to see how they got legal to have push button for the handbrake, which is all the craze now. The handbrake is just a button now. I cannot wait to see how that fails.
It's actually we've been seeing it a lot. A lot of cars use it. Volvo, it's a lot of Volvos. A lot of Audis have it. We're not really seeing a lot of issues with it. When it first came out, we were expecting them to be all sorts of trouble and problematic. Same way with electronic throttle bodies. When those first came out, we were techs in the shop. I was a Mazda tech then, and we saw our first one come in, and we're like, how is this going to go wrong? I mean, we just get an electric motor moving, your throttle. I mean, it just seemed like so many things to go wrong. But then you look back when electronic fuel injection first came out, people were saying the same thing. Oh, how can that little piece of electrical solenoid control and replace a carburetor? Right? Those little things ain't going to last long. We're going to be replacing injectors every year or something. but they ended up being extremely robust. Very few failures with injectors, and it's the same thing with the throttle bodies. I think things like this, where you're pushing the limits of safety, they really do their R&D that they should. You know, I think they're really doing the necessary testing and to make sure that those systems are safe, fly-by-wire, push-button transmission, and electric parking brakes, electric steering, and all that. You know, I think that because it's a safety thing, they do the R&D to make sure those systems are robust and going to last. That being said, on the other side of that coin is a lot of the stuff that makes the cars fuel efficient. Variable valve timing, variable intake systems. Those systems don't seem to be nearly as robust. We have a lot of issues with like Volkswagen, the Volkswagen 2-liter engines that carbon up because of the direct injection and the tumble flaps, the flaps that change the length of the intake runners break and gum up. 60,000, 70,000 miles. I think I've done 4 manifolds. I've done 4 cars so far with that. Versus, I think in the last 5 years, I've replaced 2 throttle bodies total out of all the cars I've worked on.
No, I think the 2-liter diesels from VW, the TDIs, are like absolutely horrible. Even in Europe, I mean, they're like changing them like spare parts. But you know, I think a lot of the safety stuff is good, like automatic braking. That's very good, but it creates laziness in people that is actually quite dangerous, because people go like, oh, I have automatic braking, so I'm just going to take my eyes from the road and just look at.
I'm going to text. I'm going to use my phone. My car's driving myself. I see that a lot. I'm sure you've seen like the Tesla videos where people are driving the Teslas and they're like playing chess.
Yeah.
Right. You know, with the guy beside them just letting the car drive, and yeah, anything can happen. I mean, we had a pretty good crash over here with a Tesla. The system failed. There was like a white semi-truck, but they were climbing a hill, and it was like a white cloud backdrop, and the car couldn't see the white semi-truck, and the guy went right under it, and that was into him. You know, he just wasn't paying attention, and the system just found something that it couldn't adapt to, and
I hope that self-driving cars are not catching up, because this will just create a new age of lazy people that are going to be basically they're going to push the regular cars into being illegal.
Yeah, I mean that could very well happen. Same thing with I heard where is it in the UK? I think it is that in 20 years they're banning all gasoline cars.
It's most
2026.
It's most of Western Europe, but they're not actually banning cars. They are banning the manufacturing
new ones. So they're not just going to say you can't drive that. Kind of like what China did with all the 2-stroke motors, the scooters.
But this is all just the debates, and they have been saying this for like the past God knows how many years. Germany is like banning diesel engines in their cities, but they do not ban them in the whole city, because most of Germany's economics come from manufacturing cars. They're not that stupid. You know, it's just like we're going to ban them in like this 3x3 feet area to say that we did something. But I think in Europe people are obsessed with having diesels, which is a problem.
Here in the States we hate them. We hate our diesel cars. Yeah. You know, I'm trying to think of the last diesel car. I mean, they love the diesel trucks. I mean, I know way too much about the Ford 6-liter diesel that I hate working on, but I'm trying to rack my brain to think of the last diesel automobile, like actual sedan, and I can't think of the last time I worked on a diesel car.
I mean,
Rabbit. There was a Rabbit, the Volkswagen Rabbit, I think a year ago. Yeah. That was the last diesel car I worked on, and that was, you know, a 35-year-old relic, you know. Yeah. But as far as new diesel cars, I think maybe Volkswagen is still selling them, and I think that's it.
In America, probably Volkswagen.
Mercedes has a diesel car, I believe, too now. I mean, but that's like it.
I wouldn't be against them so much if they actually use them for actual needs. I mean, you know, a diesel truck or something, towing, low-end torque, that's stuff. But when you see that they buy like a 1.3 diesel VW Polo for going to the groceries, I was like, this is just ridiculous. Because they if you ask them, they go like, oh, to save money on fuel, like, but it's a three-cylinder. It's a three-cylinder.
At least here, diesel's more expensive than gasoline.
Same here.
Is it? Yeah. So I mean, what do you save? Yeah. The gas mileage is pretty much the same.
Yeah. I think
you gotta wear a rubber glove just to fill your car up, because the diesel pumps are. I mean, at least here, the diesel pumps are a mess.
Yeah.
You know, they're atrocious.
Why do you think that in the United States you have available even lower octane gas, for example? Because I've seen in America that you have 89 octane at some points. Over here, I have never seen anything under 95. I mean, I fuel up with standard because I'm poor, right? As a student, you are poor. You're not filling up with like.
You should be. Just so that just start to stop you here, but you should be. You will get way better gas mileage in your Saab if you run high test. That's one thing I've always done in all of my Saabs. If you have a turbocharged Saab, you have an automatic performance control system. When you run lower octane fuel, it has a more likely chance to detonate. So what your PCM will do will pull timing.
Yeah.
And add fuel, because you need more fuel. If it's lean, you're going to have spark knock. It's going to pre-ignite lean. So your PCM is going to pump more fuel and cut timing. So you're going to make less power, have to push the pedal down, and the car is going to try to compensate the knock with more fuel. If you run the highest octane fuel you can, you will get more mileage than your money is worth.
Yeah. Standard here is 95 octane. And
I think, and to answer your question of why do we have less octane, why is our octane numbers lower over here? I think it's because we're a little lax on emissions as compared to over there. Lower grades of gasoline burn less completely. But I have that backwards. Yeah, and a little more emissions, and I think that's why over there you guys just say, hey. It's kind of a catch-22, though. Yeah. I mean, it depends on the car, but I think it all has to do with just emissions and just making your air cleaner.
Yeah, I think.
You know, I didn't really even know you guys didn't even have lower octane. That's kind of a new.
I rarely see it, but you know, higher octane is a scam because they do not sell it in its purest form. It's not like 98 octane. It's like 98 plus fuel additives plus cleaning injector stuff, and it's doubles the price very easily to sell their products. So 95 it's clean because it has nothing on it, it's standard, but 98 you can get expensive, especially they go like AFIX. Well,
there's a gas station right down the street from me that I can go get 110 octane race fuel at the pump. 110 leaded race fuel the pump. It's like 96. Yeah, I think it'd be wasted on that, but it's like $12 a gallon though.
Oh dear.
It's called Cam 2 race fuel. Yeah. There's a pump right down the street. But we have a couple of big racing venues not too far from here. There's a Star Lee Speedway is right up the street. There's a drag track right up the street, and I think that's why we have the Cam 2 at the pump here, because there's a lot of motorsports go on really close to where I am right now.
Yeah.
You know,
that's what I actually liked about America, is that you actually kept the motorsports going. You know, over here,
there's still a big grassroots too. I mean, if I wanted to right now, I could take the 96 up to the drag strip and run it today if I wanted to. They'd let me run this car, you know, if I wanted to. So it's still accessible here. You know, you can get into it here.
In Europe, it's like a constant struggle to just close it. It's like they don't care. If it were to be the government's decision, they would just level everything down. They just do not care at all. They have this idea that everyone that is going on a racetrack is like a maniac, even though Germany has the Nürburgring, which creates a lot of business for that region. Many countries just do not care. They just close everything down. I mean, I think one country, Switzerland or something, banned racing altogether for some reason.
Yeah, see, we got like NASCAR over here and all that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
it's always been a great money maker and tourist attraction. We had a brand new speedway made up, a NASCAR speedway up here in New Hampshire recently, a few years back, and that totally changed the area around it. You know,
so, over here is everyone is like very tight with stuff. For some reason, they just do not like racing altogether, and they are just itching to ban everything, just to ban. Oh, you want low profile tires? That's banned. Stretch tires? That's banned. You want smoked windows? That's banned as well. You know, you better have paperwork for those things, otherwise, you know, it's impounded. It's just you know,
bureaucracy. It's keeping everyone safe and clean. You know, it is. Yeah. A lot of it's just because, you know, you got to keep in mind too. A lot of this stuff, when these laws that we think can be unfair, 9 times out of 10, someone had to die for them to make that. So just keep that in mind. A lot of times they don't do it to make money; they do it to keep everyone safe. You know, and you got to keep that in your mind too. When you're working on a car, you know, something's really hard to work on. You know, you just got to think to yourself, it's that way so someone doesn't get hurt. You know, it's that way so someone doesn't, you know, change someone's life for the worse. You know, it's kind of like gas cans. I don't know if you guys have filling, you know, portable gas cans. We had a mandate where we had to have a special spout on them, so that's hard to get gas out. And every time you use it, you spill gas. It makes a mess. Everyone thinks it's for emissions, but it's not. The reason that those gas tanks are like that is because kids get into the shed and play with gasoline and play with fire. And that's not to stop emissions. That's to stop some kid from getting to the gasoline and either burning and dying or living a life with horrible burn scars, you know. You just got to remember some things that you may not agree with. Sometimes there's a different reason and a good reason for it.